Hello, my interior design family. Welcome to the video. My name is Tia from Tia Karen Interiors. So let's get into today's video. Today we're talking about the fifth wall. Yes, we're addressing the elephant in the room, but on this occasion, it's a wall, the fifth wall, right? And it's technically a wall that most people tend to forget about, right? Most of us, when we go around picking up paint colors or our finishes for the room and everything else, we tend to only think of the ceiling in terms of lighting. But otherwise, I think it is a very neglected wall in many interiors. And how did I get to, well, thinking about the fifth wall? Of course, I am aware of the fifth wall as an interior designer, but on this occasion, I was actually looking at the interiors of Emily in Paris. And if you've seen Emily in Paris, then you probably have seen all of these. I myself have not really watched past halfway of season one. I might have to go and watch it again. I just didn't get into it at the time. But anyway, going back to the interiors, I just love going and looking at interiors of movies and TV shows and everything that I can get my eyes on, right? So looking at Emily in Paris, and I was inspired to make this video about the fifth wall, and I'll show you why, and also how you can get 4 tips for creating the fifth wall in your own interiors. And these are such good secrets to creating a very intentional and designed and well thought through space. So let's look at Emily in Paris. Right, so you can see these interiors to me are so beautiful. They're so pastel. They're full of this creamy pastel colors that support the Parisian vibe, and as well as the vibe of Emily in Paris and the characters so well, right? They provide like such a beautiful backdrop for the characters, and it just works. But then I was looking at these pictures and I was thinking to myself, all the pictures are pretty pastel. Yes, they're beautiful, but they're also a little bit muted, right? They're not very loud. They're kind of like supporting actresses to these scenes. So in that, I started thinking to myself, what about the ceiling? What about the fifth wall? What are these walls doing? And then I was like, okay, now I think about walls in this way because I'm an interior designer, right? But there are probably a lot of people that are neglecting the fifth wall. So I decided to come on here and make this a little quick video to talk about the fifth wall and the 4 ways in which you can be inspired to think about your ceilings in a way that is above the ceiling lights, right? So we have this picture here showing a painted ceiling. Of course, you do not have to go this bold or go this dark, but I decided to use this picture personally because it's a perfect visual and it shows a huge contrast of what a painted ceiling can actually create, right? So it's a perfect visual to stimulate our imaginations in terms of what we're talking about today in this video, and we can see this beautiful visual example. Now, what are the benefits of having a painted ceiling? Or, well, the other 4 ways in which we shall talk about in a second, right? So first of those, of course, is the visual element, the visual focus that it creates, right? When you walk into the room, your eyesight does go up, so it creates like a different type of atmosphere, right? And as well as that, it creates a very kind of elegant space, and as well as a well thought through space. And that's what creates the elegance, actually, because you can, when you walk into the room and you see the fifth wall being enhanced and highlighted and loved and used in this way, right? You do think, okay, this space has been designed with intention, and it creates a very different atmosphere and different, well, vibe to the people that enter. So how can you yourselves at home implement the fifth wall? I have these 4 little steps. First of those is through balance, right? So the fifth wall can balance out your room. So for example, if you had really bold colors for your walls, for example, we can see here in this picture that there are, of course, like some of the walls are quite dark here, right, as we can see. So in order to balance that out, you can definitely paint the ceiling as well, so it's a little bit lighter. And as you can see also in this picture, this also complements the sofa colors. I did create this picture to be super colorful for this example, but I just wanted to show you, like, as above so is below, right? So as we can see, I included some of that pink in the sofa, and then I took the same color and put it into the ceiling, and you can see how it creates that balance. So even if you have like the wooden wall paneling and cabinetry, and you have the marble, and then you have that very bright summery yellow in the lighting of the in the wall, right? You still have a sense of balance. There's so much going on with the walls, but the ceiling and the sofa balance out the room. So as above, so is below is my example here, in terms of it can be used to balance out a room that has really busy walls. And you can see here what I'm talking about, that it creates an intentional space. When you walk into this space, you're going to be like, yeah, this space was well thought through, right? It was intentionally designed, is what I mean. Like, it didn't just come about by accident. And in terms of like people just throwing things together, no, you can see someone had to think about the sofa color and the ceiling color, and some of the cushions with the wall, so it creates that intentionality and a very loved space, right? And as well as, well, creating that balance, I also wanted to give you a few tips about where this would work really well. This sense of balance, it can work really well, of course, in commercial spaces. I'm sure if you've gone into many cafes or like a shop, a boutique, right? But at home, it can also work well if you have like a walk-in closet, to have this kind of as above as below, because you feel like you're walking into your own little boutique, kind of like, Carrie Bradshaw. But at the same time, you could also use this in a bathroom, right? It could create such a soothing, calm, and relaxing feeling, especially if you have a bathtub and you enjoy taking baths. So just creating this balance of as above and as below would feel so soothing and so nourishing, right? If you're taking a bath, if that's your thing. And then this is the second way in which you can use the fifth wall to your advantage in your interiors at home or at office or whatever space it is you're trying to design. But for example, here we can see that the ceiling balances out this room so well, but in this sense it lifts the room. So I created this little imagery here with this very beautiful modern kitchen, right, in this very beautiful olive green. And if you're really interested in, well, colors and picking colors for your home, I have linked my free resource as a complimentary resource down below, that you can go ahead and download, and you have about 7 to 8 different palettes that you can choose from to go and fly with and implement in your home. And it goes deeper into the reasons why and the how, and also the psychology of it. And this is one of the palettes that's included in that little complimentary resource that you can download, well, now. But yes, so going back into this picture, so your fifth wall can also be used to lift the ceiling, right? So as you can see, the walls are pretty like bold with that olive green, but instead of the room feeling kind of like low because of the heavy colors in the ceiling, in the walls, you paint that those ceiling a very bright contrasting color, and it just creates a beautiful sense of height. Even if you have those black lighting accessories there, which should also be dark and therefore pull the room down. The contrast of the lighter ceiling definitely pulls it up. So if you're going to have bold colors on your walls, right, you can definitely use a lighter color. It doesn't have to be white, it just has to be a color that is several shades lighter than the color of your walls, and that will create that sense of height and that sense of lift. Now let's go into our third our third way in which you can use your fifth wall. The third of those is this one, and it's one of my favorite ones in creating a cocoon, right? So this is technically painting your ceiling a really dark color. So compared to here where you're trying to lift and create a sense of height, here you're intentionally trying to ground, right? And so I created this little example here with the walls and the ceiling also being a similar color, and therefore when you enter this room you feel like you're in a little cave, right? And it's like you're cocooning, and some rooms do call for that. For example, like a cinema room, a TV room, or it could even be a reading space. But of course you could also just do this if you just like that cozy feeling of being like you're in a cave or in a cocoon. It would make the perfect like man cave, for example, but also the best media room, right? So that creates a sense of caviness, and it doesn't have to be dark colors. You could do this with any color that you like, except from white, and that creates a very cave-like cocooned feeling. And then this is the final example that I have created to show you how you can use the fifth wall, and of course it is through enhancing the architectural features of the room. So as you can see here, this room could have been easily just plastered white, and like we can see in the kitchen area, right? But by actually creating an architectural feature in the living room, all of a sudden that fifth wall has a voice and it speaks, and I can hear it. I can see it, but you know what I mean. I'm just trying, yeah, the senses, but I can hear it, I can see it, it's there, it's loud, it's unapologetic, it is beautiful, it is taking our attention, and we love it. We love this space, and definitely you will know that this space is intentionally thought through and loved and well designed. So my darlings, with that, I shall leave you to go get creative about your fifth walls, and maybe just look up at your ceiling. Most of us just have the general given white ceiling, right? But how could you get creative with your fifth wall, right? Aside from the lighting, because we all go for what kind of lighting should I go for, and that's amazing. But there is more than lighting. I personally love using an architectural feature like this, and tell me down in the comments below which one of those four would be the one that you would go for. And with that, I wish you happy designing and see you next time.